I have my own personal lexicon of not just words, but phrases, ideas, and people who know me have learned some of these. One of my favorites is called Gretelling. Usually I use it in that form. I suppose the verb is to Gretel. And it comes from Hansel and Gretel. You know the story, the kids, there's a whole big story about the kids wandering off in the woods, and they left a trail of breadcrumbs, and all the birds ate them, and then things happen, and there's an operetta about it, and it teaches you not to wander off from your parents. And in some versions, the children are beaten, so they go away from the mean parents or the mean parent, or there's a step-parent. And in some versions, the parents are poor and they can't afford to feed the kids, so the kids think, oh, well, we're going to go do this great thing in the woods. None of that is really relevant to Gretelling. Gretelling is where it really matters. When the witch says to Gretel, you may recall she's trying to fatten up Hansel, and Hansel is in a cage. And he keeps putting a twig through the bars to pretend that that's his finger. So the witch feels it and thinks, well, he's still not getting fat. Let's fatten him up some more. Gretel, meanwhile, is in the kitchen where a girl's place is. And so the witch is heating the oven because she's going to make a cookie. And Gretel knows this. And Gretel knows who's going to be the dough for the cookie. And the witch says, stick your head in the oven, girl, and see if it's hot enough. And Gretel says, wait, what? And the witch says, stick your head in the oven, girl, and see if it's hot enough. And Gretel says, and the witch says, oh, you stupid girl, and pushes her out of the way and goes to the oven. And Gretel kicks her right into the oven. Done. Gretel wins. So I call it Gretelling when someone does something like this. Here is a story of Gretelling. It's the best one I know. I was working with a small theater company. And as a side note, there was something happening in the office spaces. So everyone had to move out of the cubicles and desks, or had to move out of the cubicles and move the desks onto the stage of this theater company. So it was this bizarre theatrical event happening on stage. So there we all were. Really, we could have someone would have paid to see that. Someone particularly bored or particularly anthropological. So this woman and I were doing a follow-up on a grant we had received. I was just there temporarily, so I wasn't part of getting the grant, but I was part of doing the follow-up. It was $4,000, not a lot of money. They required so much paperwork. It was pretty labor-intensive for that amount of money. And so I asked the woman I was working with about formatting the thing. And I said, I'm going to go ask, I'll call him Eric. I'm going to ask Eric, who was the office computer guy. Just knew how to run computers, knew how to do software applications, knew how to get out of, tight spaces. And so I suggested that I would go talk to Eric, and this woman said, no, I'll take care of it. And so I thought, okay, great. Thought no more of it until we called Eric over to look at our figures that we were going to submit to the grant-making institution. And the woman said, okay, so then I just press Shift F7, which would delete everything. And Eric said, no, and pushed us out of the way, fixed it, formatted it, printed it, done. Perfect example of Gretelling. Should I blow up the machine? And then someone pushes you out of the way and they do it for you. So think about it. It happens more than you've realized, and you'll notice it now